The wedding planner's voice wavered like she was afraid of what she had to say. Hi, I just wanted to double check something, she began carefully. Your family requested that you be removed from the guest list, but they'd still like to keep the $50,000 deposit you already paid. I didn't react. I just smiled, calm and steady. Actually, I said softly, cancel the entire event. A beat of silence stretched on. But, ma'am, you're not the bride, she stammered. No, I replied, letting the quiet fill the air. But I own the venue, and the catering company, and the hotel where your guests are staying. Her voice faltered. My name is Tessa Monroe, I continued. And if you think you know how this story ends, wait and see. Because sometimes loyalty becomes a weakness and silence turns into a weapon. Truthfully, I wasn't even supposed to get that call. They hadn't meant for me to hear any of it. They assumed, as always, that I'd pay and quietly fade into the background. But something about the planner's trembling tone told me they'd crossed a line this time. I opened the contract on my laptop, every signature, every clause, and realized that with a single email, I could make their dream vanish. I didn't press send. Not yet. Instead, I sat back and let the memories flood in. Years of being the dependable one, the problem solver, the sister who paid everyone's debts but was never really invited to belong. I'd helped my father with his house deposit, then slept on the couch when I visited. I'd upgraded my brother's engagement ring so his fiancée could have the one she wanted. And now they wanted to erase me completely, while still expecting me to foot the bill. This wasn't about the $50,000 anymore. It was about respect. I leaned forward, typed 6 words into an email subject line, event cancellation. Full authority confirmed. Then I hit send. Revenge doesn't always come with fire and fury. Sometimes it's just a quiet line of text and a legally binding signature. By 6:09 p.m., the event was officially canceled. By 6:17, my phone was exploding. Missed calls, messages, voicemails. The first one was from Mom. What the hell did you just do? I didn't answer. I just watched the family group chat unravel. They canceled the venue, my brother typed. Is this some kind of joke? His fiancée demanded. Mom said nothing. She was probably already inventing a new version of events to make herself sound blameless. Let me back up a little. 3 months earlier, they'd asked me to help with deposits for the dream venue. As usual, I paid, quietly. I wasn't invited to a single tasting, fitting, or rehearsal. When I asked, Mom brushed me off with a smile. You work too much, sweetheart. Let them have their day. Their fantasy. Paid for by me. I played along, the generous, silent one, until that brunch. She's not coming, right? I overheard my future sister-in-law ask. She's always so serious. Mom laughed lightly. Tessa doesn't need a seat. She's just the wallet. That wasn't a joke. It was a breaking point. And now, with one phone call from the planner, I knew the truth. They hadn't forgotten me. They had deliberately erased me. But they'd made a fatal mistake. Every piece of their fairy tale was tied to my name. Every payment, every vendor, every signature, mine. So I flipped the script. No rage, no warning, just quiet, deliberate precision. The next day, my brother tried to do damage control. 6 calls, no messages. Then finally, a text. Tess, we love you. Please don't ruin the wedding. It means so much to us. I sipped my coffee, watching the morning fog roll past my balcony. Please don't ruin it. The irony was almost poetic. They had already ruined it themselves. This wasn't just about one wedding. It was about every time I'd been dismissed, mocked, or used. Every time they'd called me too dramatic for wanting fairness. They didn't realize the wedding was just one piece of the empire I quietly built. The venue was mine, yes, but so was the catering company. I'd bought a controlling share 2 years ago. And the hotel? It didn't bear my name on the sign, but the ownership papers all said Tessa M. Holdings. So when the guests arrived expecting rooms, the front desk simply said, I'm sorry, the reservation has been canceled. Panic followed. No rooms, no shuttle, no dinner. I didn't need to watch it in person. I already knew how the story played out. Some lessons don't come through shouting. They come through absence. The absence of comfort. The absence of control. The absence of the person you thought you could use without consequence. By nightfall, Mom finally called. Tessa, you've made your point. Put it back now. I waited a beat. No, I said calmly. You removed me from the guest list. I'm just honoring your request. Then I hung up. No anger. No tears. Just peace. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't loud. It's not about humiliation or destruction. It's about removing the floor beneath someone's entitlement and letting them see how fragile their world really is. The wedding was supposed to be in 3 days. Now there was no wedding at all. Venue gone. Catering canceled. Hotel erased. Vendors backed out. And still, no one owned up to what they'd done. My brother blamed a system error. Mom accused the planner of incompetence. My brother's fiancé posted a pouty selfie with the caption, "Pray for us." Some people just can't stand to see us happy. I nearly laughed, because if there's one thing people like them can't face, it's a reflection of themselves. I didn't have to expose them. All I did was hold up a mirror and let them look. And what they finally saw was the truth. They hadn't lost their venue. They'd lost their foundation. Because the one they thought they could discard, the quiet, dependable one, had quietly built everything they stood on. And when I walked away, the whole thing fell apart. Over the years, I'd built something quietly, not a fortune for show, but a foundation of freedom. While they laughed at me for working too hard, called me uptight or obsessed, I was buying pieces of the very world they took for granted. The banquet hall where my brother proposed. I owned nearly half of the land beneath it. The restaurant they bragged about booking for their engagement dinner, managed by a company I'd invested in long before they ever noticed its name on a menu. Every time they dismissed me, treated me like a walking wallet, I bought another corner of their illusion. Their fantasy had always been funded by my silence, and now that silence was gone, and so was their fantasy. That evening, my grandmother called, one of the few people who never made me feel small. "You okay, baby?" she asked softly. I smiled, though my chest was tight. "Yeah, Grandma," just breathing differently. There was a pause, then her voice, steady and kind. "You gave them too many chances, but this time, you gave yourself one." Her words hit me harder than anything that had happened. She was right. I'd spent my whole life trying to earn a place at a table I had built with my own hands. Now, for once, I wasn't asking to sit. I was walking away from it entirely. By morning, there was a knock at my door. Not a metaphorical one, a real one. My brother stood there, suit wrinkled, face pale, guilt pouring out through beads of sweat on his forehead. I didn't rush to open. I let him wait, let him feel what it's like to be the one left outside. When I finally opened the door, his words stumbled out. "Tessa, look, I didn't mean for things to go this far. I didn't even know they took you off the list until the planner called." The lie was clumsy, like all of his excuses. "You didn't know." I asked quietly. He looked down, just like when we were kids, and he got caught lying. I thought no one would notice. Then came the line every coward in my family used when cornered. "You know how Mom is." I let out a soft laugh, sharp around the edges. "I do. And you've been using that excuse for 30 years. He shifted, like he wanted to come inside. I didn't move. "You canceled everything," he said, voice dropping lower. "People flew in. Her family's furious. We're being humiliated." I leaned on the doorframe. "You mean I stopped paying for the performance?" He stayed quiet, so I went on. "You let them erase me after everything I've done for this family. You stood by while they turned me into an ATM with a heartbeat. And you said nothing." "Tess, I was just trying to keep the peace," he murmured. "No," I said. "You were trying to keep the fantasy alive." He sighed, shoulders collapsing. "So what now? Is this revenge?" I shook my head. "No, this is math." I subtracted myself. Then I closed the door. Not a slam, just a quiet, final click. Later that day, a message came from one of his fiancée's cousins. "Hey, what you did was badass. They treated you like nothing." I saw it. It made me laugh, not bitterly, but with a strange, peaceful relief. Sometimes strangers recognize the truth your own family refuses to see. For the first time in years, I didn't feel crazy. I felt calm. The wedding was officially called off. The invitations trashed. The florist refused to refund the deposit, apparently because the bride had been rude. Karma doesn't need a schedule, it just shows up. That weekend, my apartment felt like sanctuary. I watered my plants, played old records my mother used to skip, saying they were too emotional. It felt right. Then my phone buzzed, a text from my father. You've made your point. Now fix it before this family falls apart. Falls apart. As if it hadn't already been broken for years. I didn't reply. They didn't want a daughter, they wanted a repair service. Someone to clean their messes, absorb the blame, and stay quiet. That version of me no longer existed. But one loose thread remained, the ring. The $12,500 diamond I'd paid to upgrade when my brother claimed he'd pay me back after the honeymoon. He never did. Technically, it was mine, the receipt, the appraisal, all in my name. I called the jeweler. Has the ring been altered? Nope, she said. Still untouched. Can you reclaim it? I can, I replied. Reset it smaller. Simpler. For me. Because from now on, I'd only wear what I truly owned, not what was taken from my silence. That afternoon, I picked up the new ring. A single diamond, modest and quiet, but completely mine. That night, a group text lit up. We're rescheduling the wedding in 6 months. Hope you'll come this time. My reply was simple. A photo of the ring on my finger. Caption: finally married to the only person who ever showed up for me myself. By Monday, the family chat exploded. Aunt Karen sent praying emojis. My cousin asked if it was real. My mother called 5 times. I ignored all of it. They weren't used to this version of me. The one who didn't explain, didn't apologize, didn't bend. The woman who once begged for scraps now owned the recipe for the entire feast and wasn't sharing. Then came a voicemail from my almost sister-in-law. Tessa, I don't know what your problem is, but you ruined everything. You've been selfish. You embarrassed us. You're unstable. I listened to it twice. Not because it hurt, but because it confirmed everything I already knew. People will call you heartless the moment you stop letting them drain you. I forwarded it to my lawyer. Even silence can bite when you stop feeding it. Then I did something no one could have predicted. I booked the same ballroom. The one they had tried to use before everything fell apart. Only this time, it wasn't for a wedding. It was for a gala, a night dedicated to women who give too much and are thanked too little. The theme: reclaim, rebuild, rise. Invitations went out to teachers, social workers, artists, nonprofit founders, women who, like me, had mistaken being needed for being loved. I told the florist, use peonies. Soft pink, but bold enough to be heard. The caterers served the same menu plan for the wedding, only better. When the event streamed online, I knew who would see it first. My mother. My brother. My caption read, when they cut you from the guest list, build your own celebration and make healing the VIP. The ballroom glowed with amber light. Music drifted gently through the air. Laughter, real, unforced laughter, filled every corner. No fake smiles, no shallow conversations. Just women standing tall in dresses they chose for themselves, telling stories without shrinking. At the center I stood, not behind a clipboard, not behind a checkbook, fully visible. Someone called for a toast. I never liked microphones, but that night I didn't need one. To the women who stayed silent too long, I said, lifting my glass. To the sisters who paid the bill and got left off the guest list. To the daughters who kept families together while being torn apart themselves. Tonight, we stopped waiting for permission. We built our own rooms. Applause rose like a wave. My hands were steady. In the corner, I saw them, my mother and brother. Not dressed for the occasion, just standing there, looking out of place, like ghosts haunting a party they never thought I could host. My mother tried to approach, but one of the staff stepped forward. Private event, ma'am. I smiled. For the first time, I was protected, not by their approval, but by my own boundaries. They left quietly. No yelling, no scene. Just the soft ending of a story that had dragged on too long. Later, I took off the ring and placed it gently in a velvet box. Not as a goodbye, but as gratitude. A reminder of everything I'd lost and everything I'd finally gained. The night ended with soft music and laughter that reached the ceiling. There was no cake, no vows, no bouquet, just peace. The kind that comes when you finally choose yourself and realize that's the only ceremony that ever mattered.